Hello, everyone. Today we're going to explore why Neverland Ranch, Michael Jackson's legendary estate, has been permanently closed. Once a magical world full of joy and music, Neverland has now become a symbol of turmoil and scandal following Michael's passing. In this video, I'll share key events and the real reasons why this place can never reopen. Let's find out together. Many of you must have wondered why Neverland Ranch, the place so closely linked to Michael Jackson, was permanently shut down, right? If you've heard or know a little about this story, leave a 1 in the comments. But if this is your first time learning about Neverland, comment 0. Don't forget to watch the full video and hit subscribe to support me so you won't miss more interesting stories. Before it became Neverland, this land had a very different life. In 1981, a man named William Bone, working in real estate development, bought the property. Back then, it was called Zacaleras Ranch. Bone wanted to turn it into something special, not just a house, but a personal dream project. He renamed it Sycamore Valley Ranch and moved there with his family. Bone partnered with an architect named Robert Altivers, and together they spent over 2 years planning and designing the property. Bone spared no expense. With 15 years of experience in home building, he once said, "I have achieved here everything I wanted to in my career but couldn't before." It's clear he poured his heart into this project. By 1982, the main house was completed, a 13,000-square-foot mansion with formal gardens, a beautiful stone bridge, and a 4-acre lake with a 5-foot waterfall. Bone even considered turning the ranch into a country club, but ultimately decided to keep it private. At that time, the land was peaceful and elegant, but big changes were coming. Just a few years later, the world's most famous pop star came looking for a new home. In March 1988, Michael Jackson purchased the land from William Bone. The exact price remains unclear. Some sources say around $19.5 million, while others claim nearly $30 million. To keep it secret, the initial transaction was done through a trust with Jackson's lawyer and accountant, listed as trustees. However, within just 1 month, Michael dissolved the trust and took full ownership of the property. He renamed it Neverland Ranch, inspired by the magical island in the story of Peter Pan, a place where no one grows old. Michael wanted Neverland to feel just like that, a world of joy, freedom, and escape from reality. For him, it wasn't just a house, it was the embodiment of a dream built into a unique kingdom for his soul and childhood memories. Jackson loved fun just like I do. Neverland became his private amusement park. On the vast property, he built statues, flower gardens, rides, and even a small zoo. Everything was designed as a dreamland, not only for himself, but also as a playground for children. Before Neverland, Jackson lived with his family at the Havenhurst Mansion, but that place was nothing like the paradise he later created. Michael even installed 3 railroad systems on the grounds. The first was the Neverland Valley Railroad with a steam engine named Catherine after his mother. The second was a replica train made by Chance Rides. The third was a small electric train exclusively for his children, Michael Jr., Paris, and Prince II, manufactured in Germany and installed right in Neverland's backyard. Have you ever dreamed of stepping foot inside the legendary Neverland Ranch? If yes, comment 2, and if you've never heard of this place before, leave a 5. Don't forget to like the video and hit subscribe to support me. But that wasn't all. Neverland was truly a miniature amusement park. Michael installed all kinds of rides like a carousel Ferris wheel, roller coaster bumper cars, and even an arcade. If a child could dream of something, Michael likely brought it to Neverland. Some lucky people got to see it firsthand. In 1991, his close friend Elizabeth Taylor held her wedding to Larry Fortensky right there. 2 years later, in 1993, Michael gave a famous live interview with Oprah Winfrey at Neverland, watched by millions on TV and one of the rare times the public saw his magical private world. Michael wanted Neverland to be a place of joy and healing. In 1995, Jackson and Lisa Marie Presley hosted a major event at the ranch called the World Children's Festival. Kids from all over the world attended workshops and conferences for 3 days, celebrating the 50th anniversary of the United Nations. This event showed Michael's deep concern for children's issues. But not everything at Neverland stayed magical. Over time, it became the center of a much more serious and heartbreaking incident. On November 18, 2003, police showed up at Neverland Ranch with a search warrant. This was part of the People vs. Jackson case, a major criminal trial that shocked the world. In the 2005 trial, Jackson was charged with multiple counts related to child abuse involving Gavin Arvizo, then 13 years old. The alleged incidents took place right at Neverland. Gavin and his brother accused Michael of giving them alcohol showing inappropriate material and engaging in improper physical contact. The trial lasted 4 months at the Santa Barbara County Superior Court. Jackson faced serious charges including abuse, providing alcohol to minors, conspiracy to abuse, and even conspiracy to kidnap, extort, and imprison the Arvizo family. The trial drew massive media attention. Reporters camped outside the courtroom, every move was closely watched, and the whole world seemed to have an opinion. Many media outlets portrayed Jackson as guilty even before the trial ended. But Michael denied all accusations. His legal team claimed the accusers were trying to exploit him for money. They also called celebrities like Macaulay Culkin and Chris Tucker to testify in his support. In the end, Michael Jackson was acquitted of all charges, but everything had changed forever. Michael Jackson later declared that he would never return to Neverland Ranch. The place that once brought happiness and peace had now become a symbol of pain and public judgment. Jackson felt that Neverland was no longer home as it once was. His sister LaToya Jackson recounted in her book Starting Over that she lived on the ranch throughout the trial, and the experience was highly emotional and tense. After the trial ended, the main house was closed to cut costs, and Michael left the U.S. to live in Bahrain with Sheikh Abdullah, the son of Bahrain's ruler. Despite his efforts to move on, Neverland could never be the same again. Although the charges were dismissed by the court, the image of Neverland could not be separated from the scandal. For many, the place once called a paradise for children had become a bitter chapter in the story of a once beloved star. The magic disappeared, replaced by sad memories and unanswered questions. Neverland was no longer a symbol of dreams and childhood, but had become a symbol of loss and the wounds Jackson had to endure. By 2007, Michael Jackson began facing serious financial difficulties. That year, news spread that Neverland Ranch was at risk of foreclosure, shocking the public. Jackson's spokesperson tried to reassure the public, stating that it was only a loan being refinanced, not a risk of losing the property. At that time, Jackson still owned 87.5% of the ranch, meaning he retained control of Neverland. However, in February 2008, the situation escalated when Financial Title Company issued a warning if a $24.5 million debt was not paid by March 19th, the entire Neverland, including buildings, land, amusement rides, trains, and artwork, would be publicly auctioned. The financial pressure weighed heavily on Jackson, causing fans to worry about the fate of the ranch that was once a symbol of his childhood. On March 13, 2008, Jackson's lawyer, L. Londell McMillan, announced that a private agreement had been made with Fortress Investment Group to retain ownership of Neverland. However, Jackson had been late on loan payments for 3 months, and McMillan did not disclose specific details of the deal. Financial pressures continued to haunt Jackson, and the situation remained unresolved. Just 2 months later, on May 12, 2008, another auction was planned. This time, Colony Capital, led by billionaire Tom Barrack, entered the picture. They purchased the defaulted loan for $22.5 million, helping Jackson avoid a public auction of Neverland. In a statement to the media, Michael said, "I am pleased with recent developments, and I am discussing with Colony about the future of the ranch." By November 2008, Jackson officially transferred ownership of Neverland Ranch to a new company called Sycamore Valley Ranch Company, LLC, a joint venture between him and Colony Capital. Although Michael retained a partial stake, official control belonged to Colony. Soon after, changes began to take place, and neighbors reported unusual activity, such as trucks hauling entertainment equipment leaving the ranch. The place, once filled with laughter music and children, became silent. According to the Santa Barbara County Assessor's Office, Jackson sold part ownership for $35 million, though other reports suggest Colony only invested $22.5 million. Whatever the true figure, one thing is clear. Neverland no longer solely belonged to Michael Jackson. It had changed both in form and meaning. Kyle Forsyth, a project manager at Colony, described the new style of Neverland as an English countryside castle meets Kenya. According to him, the buildings resemble a classic manor house, while the grassland landscape carries the wild spirit of Africa. Colony had no intention to subdivide and sell the land. They believed it would ruin the original value of the ranch. Meanwhile, the amusement rides once belonging to Neverland were sold off and began appearing at fairs across the U.S., serving as living relics of a dream that had passed. In 2013, British billionaire Joe Bamford attempted to purchase Neverland Ranch, but the deal ultimately did not succeed. However, things began to change significantly after Michael Jackson's sudden death in June 2009. The world was shocked and mourned, and once again, Neverland became the center of attention. Rumors circulated that his family wanted to bury Michael on the ranch. Some fans even hoped that Neverland would become a memorial site, like Elvis Presley's Graceland, where fans could visit and pay their respects. However, Michael's father, Joseph Jackson, quickly denied this, stating there were no plans for a burial at Neverland. Nevertheless, on July 1st, heavy construction equipment and gardeners began appearing at the ranch, sparking speculation that something major was underway. In response to public curiosity, local officials clarified that if the Jackson family truly wanted to bury Michael's body at Neverland, they would have to obtain special permits from county and state authorities, a complicated and difficult process. According to Michael Jackson's 2002, all of his assets were placed into a family trust, meaning the future of the ranch would be decided by the trust, not just the family. On July 2nd, the ranch appeared again on television. Jermaine Jackson. Michael's brother gave Matt Lauer from The Today Show a tour of the main house. On the same day, he was also interviewed by Larry King. By 2013, singer Lady Gaga even said she wanted to help Jackson's children keep the ranch and planned to invest in the property, but no agreement was made. By then, Neverland had lost much of what made it magical. A new name, a new future. By 2009, the amusement rides and animals at Neverland had all disappeared except for some Bactrian camels. The joy was replaced by a meditation garden and a quiet area decorated with images of Peter Pan Jackson's favorite character. In May 2015, a new plan was announced. The ranch, now renamed Sycamore Valley Ranch, would be listed for sale with a starting price of $100 million. Colony North Star, the company currently managing it, had carried out major repairs and renovations on the property. However, fans were unhappy with the sale of the ranch. Many believed it should be preserved. Jermaine Jackson even wrote an open letter opposing the decision. By May 2016, the 2,700-acre ranch was officially listed for sale through Sotheby's International Realty. It included a massive 6-bedroom mansion, a lake with a waterfall, a swimming pool, guest house, tennis court, and a movie theater with a stage. The train station and tracks remained. However, according to Time magazine, the sellers did not want the ranch to become a museum memorializing Jackson. No one showed interest in buying. By February 2017, the price was reduced to $67 million. The property stayed on the market for over a year. By February 2019, the asking price dropped to just $31 million. The ranch was maintained, but its glory had faded. Finally, in December 2020, billionaire Ronald Burkle, a friend of the Jackson family, purchased the ranch for $22 million. He called it a land banking opportunity, meaning buying to hold the land and wait for the right time to use it. But the story didn't end there. In 2024, a wildfire called Lake Fire approached the ranch, forcing the entire area to evacuate. Once again, Neverland faced silence and uncertainty. The dream that once seemed endless had changed. Just when the world thought Neverland had stopped making news, a new documentary brought the spotlight back in an unexpected way. The documentary Leaving Neverland shocked the world. The idea for the film came from editors at Channel 4. When director Dan Reed had enough footage for a 4-hour film, HBO joined the project. Reed felt the film needed to be long to fully tell the story. He did not want to directly judge Jackson and avoided interviewing others involved, believing they might complicate the message. In early 2017, Reed and his assistant flew to Hawaii to film with Wade Robson. He agreed to tell his story from start to finish without leaving out details. Although one of the cameras broke early, they continued filming late into the night. A few days later, Reed went to Los Angeles to record a 2-day interview with James Safechuck. Reed stated that neither the two men nor their families were paid to appear in the film. After recording their stories, Reed returned to London and began verifying the details to confirm what they had said. However, he still had one question. Why did the mothers allow this to happen? So in November 2017, he went back to the U.S. to interview their families. One of the most notable parts of the film, where Safechuck shows a wedding ring, was filmed later in July 2018. Although Reed had interviews with former detectives and lawyers from previous trials, he decided not to include them in the film. He also could not reach Jordan Chandler, one of the previous accusers, and guessed that he wanted to avoid the spotlight. Reed said there might be a second film telling the stories of Chandler and Arvizo. The film's soundtrack was composed by Chad Hobson, who said he imagined the tone of the film as a journey through a magical forest that becomes darker the deeper you go. Leaving Neverland premiered at the Sundance Film Festival on January 25, 2019. On television, the film was split into 2 parts. In the U.S., it aired on HBO on March 3rd and 4. In the UK, it was broadcast on Channel 4 on March 6th and 7th, but the British version was cut by 47 minutes to make room for commercials. The documentary created a sensation in the UK with 2.1 million viewers for the first part and 1.9 million for the second. Including replays and online streaming, the total audience surged to 5 million and 4 million respectively. In the US, the first part attracted 1.285 million viewers, making it the third most-watched HBO documentary of the decade at that time. On review aggregator sites, the film received widespread positive feedback. On Rotten Tomatoes, it earned a 98% approval rating, and on Metacritic it scored 85 out of 100, indicating strong critical acclaim. Many critics describe the film as powerful, honest, and haunting. Owen Gleiberman of Vanity Fair said the stories in the film were highly convincing. The Washington Post called the film captivating, while Salon stated that it not only told the story, but also helped viewers understand why so many were drawn into Michael Jackson's dream. However, some critics like Entertainment Weekly felt the film was one-sided, but still regarded it as an unforgettable work. Rolling Stone admitted the film took a side by giving the platform to the men in the film, but its meticulous storytelling made it hard for viewers to ignore. A response film called Neverland Firsthand was released shortly after, featuring Brandy Jackson, Michael Jackson's niece, who had dated Robson for years and questioned his story. Other response films like Chase the Truth and Square One also defended Jackson. The film sparked a strong backlash in the media against Michael Jackson. Some radio stations in Canada, New Zealand, and the Netherlands stopped playing his music. The Simpsons removed the episode in which Jackson voiced a character. Louis Vuitton withdrew Jackson-themed products from their fashion line. Other changes followed. Museums removed his memorabilia, a gymnast changed her music, and even the Mannequin Peace statue in Belgium canceled plans to dress up as Jackson. Nevertheless, many of Jackson's awards were not revoked, and surprisingly, his music sales actually increased. However, behind the scenes, a major lawsuit was being prepared. Just before the film aired, the Jackson family sent a letter to HBO calling the film unethical. They claimed HBO violated a 1992 contract that prohibited them from speaking ill of Jackson. This contract was signed when HBO broadcast Jackson's Dangerous Tour. The family demanded $100 million in damages. HBO refused to back down, arguing that the contract had expired and that the family was trying to silence the truth. They said that enforcing that contract indefinitely would allow celebrities to control their legacies even after death. The court ruled that HBO must enter arbitration instead of only fighting publicly, but HBO continued to try to block the process. In December 2020, a panel of judges again ruled against HBO, allowing arbitration to proceed. Finally, in October 2024, the lawsuit ended when both parties agreed to drop the case. As a result, HBO Max removed the film and has no plans to bring it back. But as one chapter closes, another opens. After years of silence and shrouded in mystery, Neverland Ranch has come back to life. In June 2024, the media reported that a major film project had taken over the famous estate. What makes it special is that this isn't just an ordinary movie, it's a biographical film about Michael Jackson's life. Located in the Santa Ynez Valley, Neverland Ranch was designed by Michael as a miniature Disneyland, complete with rides, animals, and lively music. After years of controversy, and especially following his death in 2009, the ranch was abandoned, leading many to believe it would remain nothing more than a memory. But now, for the first time in a long while, Neverland is showing signs of revival. Forgotten outbuildings have been cleaned up once joyful rides have been restored and are running again. Cameras have started rolling all across the property, and the stage light symbols of Neverland's magic and vibrancy have been lit once more. More than just a filming location, Neverland is becoming a global focal point, as if it's telling the story of the man who turned this place into an icon of childhood dreams and unresolved sorrows. The producers say this film will tell the full truth about the pop icon's life. Producer Graham King said, "Behind the scrutiny, the accusations, and the blind media frenzy, he was just a human being." But the journey to bring Neverland back hasn't been simple. A lot has happened behind the scenes. A public records request confirmed what fans had long suspected. From April 15th to May 1st, the film crew was authorized to shoot at Neverland Ranch daily from 6 a.m. to midnight. The permit specified scenes including dialogue, zoo shots, and stunt work. There was even helicopter filming over Figueroa Mountain Road. From April 25 to 28, outdoor scenes were shot with a crew totaling 310 members. Smoke effects and special visual effects were used to recreate Neverland's magical atmosphere. By late April, leaked photos and videos from the set showed extras dressed as balloon vendors, ride operators, and food sellers. The once-abandoned ranch was now full of life. Earlier at CinemaCon, the first trailer for the film Michael was released. The movie is scheduled for release in 2025, featuring over 30 songs and covering Jackson's entire life from happy moments to deep pain. Michael Jackson first discovered the ranch in 1983 while filming the music video for Say, Say, Say with Paul McCartney. At the time, McCartney and his wife were staying at the property, then called Sycamore Valley Ranch. Jackson was enchanted by its beauty and said he would buy it one day. In 1988, he did just that, purchasing it for $19.5 million and renaming it Neverland Ranch, inspired by the magical island from Peter Pan. Neverland was more than a home. It was Michael's dream world, an amusement park, a zoo, a train, and childhood memories. But in the years that followed, the ranch became the center of scandal. In 2003, police raided Neverland. Live on television, Jackson faced serious charges, though he was later acquitted. Since then, he never returned to Neverland. That was the last time he set foot on the property. After Jackson's death in 2009, many wondered what fate awaited Neverland. There were rumors the family planned to bury him there. Fans hoped it might become a memorial site like Elvis Presley's Graceland, but nothing was confirmed. In 2016, the ranch was listed for sale at $100 million, but found no buyers. In 2020, billionaire Ron Burkle Jackson's former financial advisor purchased it for $22 million. While the future of Neverland remains uncertain, the restoration of the property has given fans hope for a memorial worthy of Michael Jackson's legacy. If reopened, Neverland could become a cultural destination, a place that holds memories, inspirations, and the ups and downs of the life of the king of pop. It would not only be the rebirth of a ranch, but also a way for the world to continue telling the story of an immortal musical icon. Thank you for watching. Until the end of the video, Neverland Ranch is not only a ranch, but also a symbol of a dream and the ups and downs of Michael Jackson. Even though it has closed forever, the memories and mysteries surrounding this place always make people curious and reminded. If you find this video interesting, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss other interesting stories. See you in the next videos.